Hello, my lovely Natsukis. It's your bestie, Summer. And I bet you weren't expecting me to be able to post more than one chapter without going completely off the radar. But no, I'm actually gonna stick to it this time. Because nothing has gotten in the way of recording yet, thankfully. I'm currently home alone because, well, technically not home alone because my uncle's also here because he moved in a little while ago. It was part of the chaos. The rest of my family is down hanging out with my aunt in town because we live like a little ways. It's confusing. But I just dyed my hair today, like 2 hours ago now. And I really need to condition it because I did condition it in the shower, but I need to do it again because I bleached it and I bleached part of it and then I dyed the other part and then I'm gonna dye the bleached part a different color, but it feels dead. Like, my hair feels horrid. It's so damaged. I really need to stop bleaching it, but am I gonna? No, probably not. Because I can't stand having normal hair, like, at all, but that's a problem for future me when I actually do care about taking care of my hair, like, an extreme amount. But we're finally getting back to press hard to subscribe. Aren't y'all happy? Like, back to our roots. It's so nice to be back and recording this. And a week in advance, only like a day after I recorded the last one. What? I'm not recording it day of like I usually do? Ain't that so surprising? I bet it is. I'm actually supposed to have a sleepover tonight, so I'm probably going to end up editing this while hanging out with my friend. I love her. She slays. She's amazing. I haven't been able to hang out with her in a minute. And then I'm going to go to D&D because it's because I'm still doing that because it's amazing and I absolutely love it. My character is really stupid because they healed this dog that can talk. First red flag, a talking dog, but I healed it. Well, my character did. And I was like, oh, it's probably a good dog because it was asking what I wanted in my life. And I was like, oh, I want to have the stealthiness to be able to protect my friends. And they were like, all right, let me get that for you. And they gave me this potion thing. And the potion ended up getting me a -2 bonus for strength. But hey, I have like a 7-point bonus in agility now, so that's fun. I just can only carry my bow and armor. And I have to have my dog carry the bag that I have, the bag of holding. It's amazing. I love it. Y'all who don't play D&D probably think I'm literally so, like, cringe for this. But it's fun. It slays. It's amazing. But I've been yapping long enough, so let's get into this. This is part 13, chapter 7 of Press Hard to Subscribe, a DPXDC podfic written by die_Erlicollagen6083 and read by Summer Audio. Enjoy! Chapter 7, Butterflies and Bows. Damian Wayne spotted with New Mysterious Beau by Vicky Vale. When I received a tip the other day that one Damian Wayne had been spotted on a date, I could hardly believe it. Damian Wayne, the Ice Prince of Gotham? The one who resembles the gargoyles far more than he does his father. The blurry images I'd received of Damian Wayne at the zoo were hardly anything special. We all know the youngest prince adores animals and makes frequent donations to charities which promote the welfare of animals. The man next to him could have easily been one of his many brothers, likely the illustrious Timothy Drake Wayne or Richard Dick Grayson. What gave me pause was when I heard from the Gotham gossip tip line that Damian Wayne had rented an ice skating rink. Not only that, but he had reservations at one of the premier vegetarian Thai restaurants in the city. Unfortunately, these tips came in rather late, but this reporter was able to confirm that Damian was dining with someone who was not one of his brothers. Not only that, but they held hands and kissed. Damian Wayne was even smiling at times, something which I had never personally seen before. Despite our attempts to get close, our photographers were unable to, and were only able to get a few images of the two men on their date. It had been speculated quite extensively on Damian's sexuality. It seems that we might be able to confirm that the youngest Wayne is interested in men. We look forward to hearing more from the Wayne family in regards to this news, and we here at the Gotham Gazette will keep you updated. Wow. Just wow. This wasn't great. Well, Danny said, his voice tight. This explains why I have 20 missed calls from Damian. Jazz grimaced. Yeah, he reached out to me on Discord. We're gonna head over. She quickly checked the time. In about half an hour. It's gonna be easier to talk about this stuff in person. Tucker, Oracle, and Red Robin have been scouring the internet. So far, it looks like there aren't any clear pictures of you guys, which is great. Your weird mix of bad luck and good luck strikes again. Alright, I guess I'm meeting his family a lot sooner than I thought I'd be. Are you coming with? He asked Jazz, unsure. Of course I am. We're gonna pick Tucker up for sure on the way, and Sam might come later if we don't finish by the time she's free. Jazz's fingers were flying across the keyboard as she responded to the incoming messages. Danny felt rather useless at this point. I guess I'll call Damie back, he offered. Jazz nodded. That's probably a good idea. He seems worried from the messages to me. He mentioned you guys talked about this? Danny could hear the question in her voice. He sat down on her bed. Yeah, we did. It's not great, but it's why I'm not freaking out. We're gonna have to make a press statement. We decided that it's better for us to do it to help control the narrative. Damian's words, not mine, he told her with a small smile. We figured we'd have more time before it came out. That's okay, though. She stared at him. You're taking this surprisingly well, Jazz commented. Yeah, well, I don't think it's really hit me yet. Ask me in a couple of hours, Danny said, heading back to his room to call Damian. He needed to actually get the man's number, not just use his Discord. It only rang twice before it was answered. Danny, I do not know if you have seen the papers yet. There's an article about us and our date. They did not find out much about you, but I suspect that will change. Damian rushed out. Yeah, I read the article, but Vicky has kind of struck me as the type that once she gets a whiff of a story, she hunts it down, and she's very capable, Denny remarked, setting the phone on the counter, putting it on speaker, and muting himself so he could brush his teeth while Damian talked. That is a fair assessment of her. I've been speaking with your sister, Jazz. She stated that you will be heading to the manor shortly. While it is not the introduction to my family that I'd hoped for, you will be meeting them. My apologies in advance. They can be rather overwhelming and far too noisy for their own good." Danny snorted, spitting into the sink. He briefly unmuted himself. "Let me guess, since there's some sort of connection to the bats and the others, they've all learned a thing or two from him?" he asked with a weak smile. "That would be a good way to put it. Richard is very personable, which often leads to many spilling him their secrets. Jason is the tallest. Many find him intimidating on his size alone. Cassandra is unbeatable in terms of stealth. It is incredibly difficult to notice her when she does not wish for you to. Timothy is intelligent and a rather good strategist." All those things made sense, but there was one person missing. "And you? What did you learn from Batman?" Silence. "Nothing that I shouldn't have already known," was Damian's surprisingly bitter answer. Damian was probably still mad at Batman. Made sense. "So, who do you think I'll be meeting today? From your family, I mean." He wanted to try and distract Damian a bit. Also, he wanted to prepare for who he was going to be meeting. "You will meet Alfred Pennyworth. He is the butler. However, as I have mentioned previously, he raised my father and is my pseudo-grandfather, even if he will not admit it. The properties of a butler, you understand." No, Danny didn't, but he was going to let Damie ramble while he changed out of his PJs into actual clothes. "Father will be there. He is not as much of an airhead as the press make him out to be. It is a persona that suits him. Richard is here as well. He drove over as soon as he heard that you would be coming to the manor. I will endeavor to ensure that he is not left alone with you. You will meet my sister Cassandra and her girlfriend Stephanie. Stephanie can be described as a troll and is currently making popcorn. I believe she wishes to merely watch the discussion. She feeds on chaos." Honestly, Steph sounds fun. He'd probably join her in eating popcorn. It was his and Damian's drama, though, so he couldn't just sit back and watch. He had to actually participate. Ugh. "Timothy is here as well. He is in he as well as his paramour, Connor. Connor is a journalism student, so he is rather fascinated to be in the forefront of such titillating news." Damian didn't sound happy about Connor being there. "Well, maybe Connor can help us brainstorm on a good way to talk to the press," Danny offered, taking a quick glance at himself in the mirror. He was wearing an old, faded Superman shirt. The S shield was cracked from multiple times in the wash. It was paired with dark jeans. It was comfy and casual, yet nice. He wanted to impress Damian's family, but he also wanted to be himself? Perhaps. He only recently procured his degree and started working for the Daily Planet. He is following in his, elder brother's footsteps. Damian mused. Elder brother who worked for the Daily Planet. All Danny could think of were Clark Kent, Jim Olsen, and Perry White. Perry was too old to have a brother who just finished college. Probably that left Clark and Jimmy. Let me guess. Connor Oslin? He's related to Jimmy Oslin? Damian let out a chuckle. No? Well, okay, then Connor Kent then. Listen, it's not like I pay a ton of attention to the news. I mean, I do some, but I get a lot of my news from Phil DeFranco. I mean, it's all the same. It's super, super grim most of the time. I mean, Oh no, some supervillain did some crazy, horrible thing again. But yay! A hero saved the day. That doesn't really do anything to help the people. I mean, insurance in Gotham is through the roof because of all the rogue attacks. It's either pay out of the nose for insurance or don't have it, and potentially have to replace stuff out of pocket. Think about how long it takes to. Beloved, you have gotten quite off topic. Perhaps you should save that rant for a hero hour, Damian said calmly. Danny heard his amused tone, though. Besides, I believe it is time for you to come to the manor, is it not? Danny glanced at the time. Yep, they'd need to leave in like 5-ish minutes. Oh yeah, see you soon, cutie. We've got this. I believe in us, Danny told Damian, with just a ton of false cheer. He was trying to stay optimistic. Danny's life was going well. He was not going to let this little road bump keep him from being happy. See you soon, Danny, Damian responded. Danny waited for the line till he heard the sound of the Discord call ending. Then he went to grab Jazz and then put on shoes before leaving the house to get in the car. He was going to meet Damian's family. They picked up Tucker on the way. He squeezed into the back of Jazz's beat-up blue Toyota Camry. It fit right in with the majority of Gotham's traffic, as an older car that had a few dents in it. One of them might have come from Danny hitting a mailbox while he was trying to learn how to drive back in Amity. Jazz had been much more reluctant to let him practice driving after that. Tucker chatted up a storm, all the while tapping furiously at his phone. Danny assumed it was important, probably relating to the whole Danny and Damian got photographed while on their last date. It was fascinating to watch the city architecture of all brick and stone buildings adorned with statues interspaced with gleaming skyscrapers transition to townhomes and eventually the suburbs. The suburbs gave way to large estates. They were close to Wayne Manor. Danny was both excited and nervous. His palms were sweating a bit, and he hoped his deodorant held. Tucker was just a ball of excitement, telling them multiple times during the drive that he couldn't wait to meet Tim in person. Danny was happy for him, and it did bode well for Tucker getting a job at Wayne Enterprise. Tucker deserved good things, and deserved to have his dream come true. Jazz, though, he could tell she was worried. The lips pursed and the tightening of her hands on the steering wheel. His big sister always worried about him. Hopefully, one day, he could prove that she didn't need to take care of him. He could take care of himself. Although, considering how he felt about Danny, that would probably never happen. Danny could try and lessen her worry, though. Ancients, his mind was just all over the place right now, and today in general. He was really wishing this whole press thing was over, and he could just go back to daily life, to dating Damian, to streaming, to not having to deal with the press. This was what he signed up for, though. Damian was in the limelight, through no fault of his own. Besides, due to going viral twice and having Batman show up on stream, Undead Nebula was becoming more and more popular, and he was making headlines of his own. Sure, it had been some smaller news outlets and gaming sites. YouTube was going a little nuts over it. Plus, due to his reaction, the internet loved it. Danny! Earth to Danny! He snapped out of it, looking at Jazz. Huh? We're here, dude, Tucker chimed in, getting out of the car. Well, shit, they totally were. Danny unbuckled, stepping out of the car and taking a look around. Well, it certainly was a manor. It was made of a light, almost cream-colored stone. It had tons of windows. There were 4 stories, but the 3rd and 4th were smaller than the others due to the rooftop terrace. On the 3rd floor, there were 2 towers on either end of the manor that went up to the full 4 floors. In the center, towards the back of the house, was another section of the home that went up 4 stories. That made the front of the house look like the parapets you would see ringing the towers of a castle. Honestly, the whole thing looked like it could be on the front page of a magazine about castles. The lawn was perfectly manicured. Bare rose bushes lined the sides of the home, and old oak trees were on either end of the property. Leading up to the home was a set of what Danny could only guess were marble steps. One went to the left, the other to the right, and they converged just in front of the front door. There was a circular fountain on the center of the driveway, as it was still winter. It was bare, with no water running through it. It was beautiful, breathtaking. It was wild to think that Damian lived here, had grown up here since he was 10. Had it been lonely inside the massive manor? His siblings grown and having little time for him, with a dad who was in the spotlight a ton, along with the fact that his mom and grandfather had abused him. The cold wind sent leaves skittering across the driveway. The 3 of them made their way to the steps on the right to make their way to the front door. Jazz rang the doorbell, her chest forward and her shoulders back. She looked confident. What would he do without his sister? The door opened, the oiled hinges moving the ancient wooden doors without a squeak. "Welcome to the Wayne Manor. You must be Miss Jazz Fenton, and Mr. Danny Fenton, and Mr. Tucker Foley. Do come in. Masters Wayne have been waiting for you," an elderly man said. He was in a tailcoat with white gloves, a silver chain dangling from his pant pocket, probably a pocket watch. He was balding on top of his head, but around the sides he had white hair that was cut short and incredibly neat. He had a stern but kind face, with a mustache that was thin and spanned his upper lip. Not a single hair was out of place on the man. They followed the butler down the hall. Danny wanted to say something, say nice to meet you, or just say hi, something. He didn't have a chance, as they were brought to what could only be described as a parlor. There were red walls with white crown molding along the ceiling and around the doors. The curtains were a yellow gold, with the tassels holding them open. There was an elaborate chandelier, though it had been retrofitted to use electric candles. There was a white marble fireplace that was decorated with roses. It was on the warmth of the fire radiating from it. On the red chaise lounge, decorated with gold fleur-de-lis, was Damian. Damian looked up from the sketchbook he was drawing in, emerald eyes looking over the guests, stopping on Danny. Ancients, Damian always looked incredible. The warm, orange-collared shirt he wore looked fascinating, especially since the top 3 buttons were undone, giving Danny a peek at Damian's beautiful brown skin and his collarbones. It paired well with the black slacks and the black socks. Damian wasn't wearing shoes. Anyone else who saw Damian might assume that he was still in formal attire. But knowing Damian, this was actually a more dressed-down and comfy look for him. His boyfriend did tend to look like he'd just stepped out of a fashion magazine. "Hi, nice to meet you," Jazz said, holding out her hand to the man who had stood up to approach him. Shit. Danny had been totally absorbed by Damian. He forgot everyone else in the room. The man shaking hands with Jazz could only be Bruce Wayne, and it was confirmed a moment later. "Nice to meet you, as well. I'm Bruce Wayne. Please call me Bruce. I do wish we could meet under better circumstances, but I can't help but admit I'm thrilled to meet all of you. I've been hearing such wonderful things about you, Tucker, after the 2 of you stopped fighting." Here, Bruce laughed boisterously. Both Danny and Jazz flinched. The laugh and his sighs reminded them of Jack Fenton. It didn't help that Bruce also had black hair and blue eyes. And you must be Danny. Danny wasn't exactly given a choice, as he was hugged by the exuberant man. Calm down, breathe. It wasn't Dad. It was someone else. Bruce Wayne. What the fuck was his life? Nice to meet you, Danny squeaked as he was lifted up. Over Bruce's shoulder, he could see Damian set aside his sketchbook. There were 2 other men as well. He vaguely recognized both of them, vaguely from the news, as Tim Wayne and Richard Grayson. Damian had mentioned Cassandra Wayne, Stephanie something, and Connor Kent, but he didn't see them in the room. Danny was set down, only to be hugged by Richard Grayson. I'm so excited to meet you. You're adorable, Richard said, swinging him around, which was really impressive, since Danny was the same height as Richard. You can call me Dick. Only Damie calls me Richard. Tucker snickered from behind him. Thanks? What else could he say? Thankfully, he was set down, Damian coming over to greet him. Tim was busy saying hi to Tucker, so he shouldn't get hugged by anyone else besides Damian for a bit. Damian was almost a bit shy, only grabbing his hand and pulling him back to the Chase Lounge. Danny didn't mind at all. Tucker was already talking a mile a minute with Tim, having pulled out a laptop from his backpack, the 2 of them heading towards 2 chairs that were situated around a chess table. Tim had his own laptop there, and they weren't talking about web scraping and reverse image searching and more. They were going to get along like a house on fire. That Danny could tell. Jazz had her arms crossed and was firing rapid questions at Dick and Bruce. Danny didn't envy them, and he heard her questions. You've been dealing with the paparazzi for years. How in the world did you not know that they were on Danny and Damian's tail? How do you expect to keep their privacy, especially if they're going on more dates? What does your PR team want to tell the press? Don't you have some connections? Danny was just gonna let her go off. Damian picked up his sketchbook, then sat down. Danny sat down next to him, then toed off his sneakers so he could put his feet on the chase. Danny leaned against Damian and stretched his legs out. Damian's arms wrapped around him, holding him close. How are you? Damian asked softly, his thumb rubbing against Danny's arm. I'm doing okay. The drive woke me up a bit. It's really pretty out here. Probably looks better in spring, though, he answered. He wasn't really addressing the issue of them becoming public, but that was okay. He could delay it a little longer. Damian hummed. The manor does come alive in spring. The roses begin to bloom. The flower bulbs in the planters show their color as well. The gardens are breathtaking that time of year. However, the greenhouse is enjoyable all year round. I could show it to you later today. That sounds nice. I grew up in the Midwest, and there was this massive park in the middle of the city. The city would plant daffodils, dahlias, and tulips in fall that would then bloom in spring. Each fall, they would remove the bulbs from the last year to plant new ones. The bulbs from the previous year were still good, but they'd leave them out on the sidewalks for people to take. Sam would want to rescue as many as she could, so we'd go down there with our 2 wheelbarrows and collect as many as they could. We planted them in the flower boxes in my parents' house, and then in our backyard, Tucker's backyard, and then Sam planted as many as she could in the greenhouse. The next spring, you couldn't walk anywhere in the backyard without stepping on flowers. We totally forgot to make pathways. Danny chuckled softly. Yeah, but it was fun as hell riding on the wheelbarrow as you ran as fast as you could to catch up to Sam. The wheelbarrow only fell over, twice? Tucker piped up from where he was typing away. He hadn't even glanced over. Yeah, we scraped our legs pretty badly, but it was fun, Danny responded. Sounds like a lovely memory, Bruce said, walking over to sit across from them on the couch. Dick came over and sat there too, deep in conversation with Jazz, who was following him. Like, he's so cute and grumpy, and I just want to squish his cheeks all the time. But it's like I turned to look away, and now he's an adult. He can drink now. My baby brother. Dick practically wailed at the end. I know, right? Denny would make these adorable rocket ships out of cardboard boxes and would try to have me play with him. Oh, it was the sweetest thing. I went on a sleepover with some other girls, and Danny had my mom call me, and he told me over the phone that he was sick. Oh no, Danny knew this story. He got up, his face turning red as he tried to clamp his hands over Jazz's mouth to stop her from talking. She just dodged and kept going, a grin on her face. Shut up, Jazz! He was sick with cysteritis, so I needed to come home so he could get better. It was so cute, but I didn't come home. He did it a couple more times before he stopped. Dick cooed. That's so sweet. Damie has... Why don't we focus on why we're here? Damian cut Dick off. Danny sat back down next to him, cuddling into Damian's side. We need to figure out how we want to address Vicky Vale's article. The room went silent until 3 new people entered the room. The first one who entered was a smiling Asian woman in a deep purple turtleneck dress. She was carrying an overflowing bowl of popcorn, along with a bag of Sour Punch straws and Airheads. Behind her was a blonde girl in a lilac hoodie and jeans. She had sunglasses on and was grinning widely, carrying 2 party-sized bags of Doritos. Last but not least was a man in a spiked leather jacket and literal rose-colored glasses. He was also wearing red fingerless gloves, cramming handfuls of popcorn in his mouth. Danny could only guess that these were Cassandra, Stephanie, and Connor. We didn't miss anything, did we? We saw the Camry out front. How long have they been here? The blonde-haired girl asked the room. Connor made his way over to Tim, bullying him to get up from his seat. Connor sat down, then had Tim sit in his lap, hugging and nuzzling Tim's back. The popcorn bowl placed precariously on the very full chess table. You didn't miss anything, Steph, Dick replied. This is not a slideshow for you to watch. This is my life and my relationship, Damian grumbled. Steph, Cass, while you are always welcome in this house, don't antagonize your brother. You agreed to be nice, Bruce admonished. The 2 girls made their way to the pair of couches that were behind Dick and Bruce, and Jazz. They sat their food on the table before sitting backwards on the couch, so they could face Danny and Damian. So back to topic. The cat's kind of out of the bag, so I say we confirm that Damian's dating someone. I think denying it will just make rumors swirl even more, but, what do you guys think? You deal with that sort of stuff a lot more, Danny suggested to the room. It's a good idea. Denying it generally never goes well, Bruce mused. The question is, how much do we reveal about you, Danny? Not your name or your face, Jazz interjected, leaning forwards. That'll make you a massive target. Plus, if you want to apply to Gotham U or some other university, you don't want to get swarmed by people. I would like to reveal as little as possible about Danny as well, Damian agreed. Possessive brat, Stephanie fake whispered. Damian glared at her. Danny could feel him tensing underneath him. He grabbed Damian's hand, lacing their fingers together and squeezing. I already know that Damian's possessive, Danny said nonchalantly. I don't mind it at all. Besides, I appreciate that he was open about it and let us set some boundaries. Was he exaggerating? Just a little. all they talked about so far was the fact that Damian never wanted to open up the relationship. That was something they needed to expand on a bit more. So far, Damian's possessiveness had been rather tame, wanting Danny to wear things he'd bought. As long as they kept open communication, they should be fine. Damian hadn't shown any signs of possessiveness or jealousy when Danny had slept over with Sam and Tucker. Damian hadn't shown any red flags when it came to his possessiveness. The Waynes were looking at Danny incredulously. What? Were they really that surprised that they'd talked about it? That Danny was cool with it? It wasn't like Damian was asking him about everywhere he went or who he talked to. Damian just wanted to be secure in the fact that they were boyfriends and that there would be no one else. Danny didn't blame him. He'd probably watched Bruce date tons of women before finally settling on Selena, along with Dick dating a lot before he proposed to Barbara. Plus, who didn't want that fairy tale romance, where you married one person and you love each other for the rest of your life? Danny wanted that. Damn it, was he even making sense in his own mind, or was he just talking internally to himself in circles? What if there's an interview? Connor spoke up from where he was acting as Tim's seat. I could interview you two and just call Danny Damian's mysterious date or something. You would only want that to get a boost in your career, Damian accused. Connor shrugged. I mean, yeah, but it helps you guys too. He has got a point, Dick mused. It's not a bad idea, Jazz agreed, nodding. Then that is it then? Crisis averted? Bruce asked. He looked relieved, but there was a curious glimmer in his eyes. He also hadn't stopped watching Danny this entire time. It was a little unnerving. Wait a minute, Danny said. He sat up a bit, turning to look at Damian. Are you okay with this? This isn't just about me, you know. Are you okay with telling the world that we're dating? I mean, with the current plan, I get to keep my anonymity for now, but you don't. You're gonna get hounded about me. That's probably gonna suck. Are you seriously okay with that? Damian blinked in surprise, and Danny's heart hurt. Was Damian really okay with whatever he would have to shoulder as long as it meant Danny was okay? That he didn't have to deal with the paparazzi? It will not be much different than what I am used to now, although instead of asking me about Wayne Enterprise, they will ask about you, Damian replied. Danny nodded. Sure, but well, we're two guys. It's a gay relationship. Some news outlets are really good about that, others not so much. You're probably gonna get yelled at and some horrible things said about you. And about us, Danny trailed off, as he could think about how some sites liked to say that any gay man was actually a pedophile. He hated that Damian was probably going to get accused of that, especially since it was so blatantly wrong. I have been gay my entire life, and my family has known since I was 16, or perhaps even sooner. It was not as if I hid it, Damian responded. Danny nodded. Sure, but when I looked you up after you mentioned who you were, I didn't see anything in all the articles about how you were gay. That's gonna be big. I mean, happy that Vicky didn't really make your sexuality the focus of the article. Danny sighed. I hate that all of this is on you. My sexuality getting out has been a long time coming. I am not ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed to be dating you. Danny rolled his eyes. That's not what I'm saying, and you know that, Danny countered. Damian shifted, cupping Danny's face, staring directly into each other's eyes. The background just faded away, and all that mattered was the man before him, his boyfriend. Since I joined my father and realized that I was gay, I knew it would eventually come out. I was well aware it likely wouldn't come out on my own terms. If anything, I am glad that my sexuality is being revealed with someone I want to date, and not one of the many failed first dates I have had. There was an awkward cough. Both men turned. Bruce looked a little awkward, but Dick and Jazz looked utterly thrilled. Tucker and Tim clearly did not care, as they were talking to each other in rushed, hurried whispers. Danny was pretty sure from the snippets he heard they were no longer trying to stop any more images of Danny and Damian from getting out. It sounded like Tucker was hacking LexCorp and Tim was hacking VladCorp. Danny would worry about that later. Tucker was a big boy. He could handle the consequences of his own actions. Steph looked bored while Cass was clapping silently. Danny had completely forgotten about their audience. He blushed, burying his face in Damian's chest to hide. Damian helped, shifting them both in order to cover Danny and keep him from prying eyes. His large, warm hands carted through Danny's hair. Let's put together a small press release from Wayne Enterprise in regards to me dating someone who is another man, and that is still new. We're trying not to be spotted. As for an interview, I suppose it is a win-win if Connor gets to do the interview. It is rather well known that you are dating Timothy. We can do so after lunch. Any questions or complaints? Damian asked the group, taking charge. Damn, was this what Damian was like in the boardroom? It was pretty attractive. No one had any questions, so Damian got up. Danny grumbled, but let him go, and dragged a reluctant Tim to the couches with Steph and Cass to draft the PR statement. Damian was keeping an eye on both Dick and Bruce. Dick was about to go and sit by Danny, but Tucker came over and flopped down, putting his legs in Danny's lap. Danny just raised his eyes at his best friend, who merely smirked at him. Sam's on her way, by the way, Tucker announced to the room. Hey, Bruce, you know a lot about adoption. I'm like 90% sure Sam wants to be adopted by her new lesbian moms. You adopted Dick when he was an adult. What was that process like? Oh, I don't know a lot about it. My lawyers took care of it. I can recommend some of the best adoption lawyers in the city, Bruce answered breezily. Sam Manson, right? Your other best friend? Dick asked eagerly, leaning forward. Yep, the troublesome trio. When anything happens in Amity, those three were right around the corner. Danny and Tucker became friends in, what was it, first grade, second grade, or was it kindergarten? Sam joined later. I think you guys became friends with her in middle school? They've been inseparable ever since. It was like I got 2 more siblings. You have a lot of younger siblings, Dick. Do they all listen to you? I swear, they only listen to me when I pin them down and lecture them, Jazz complained. Jazz and Dick got into complaining about siblings and how tough it was to be the oldest. Danny tilted his head back on the chase, listening to the sound of the voices all around him, all the conversations, the warmth of the fireplace seeping into him from the left. When it was filled with people, the manor was really cozy. It wasn't as cold and lonely as Danny had feared. Maybe that was why Bruce had adopted so many children. Alfred entered through the doorway. Danny noticed the soft, pleased smile on his face before he announced, Sir and Madams, lunch is ready in the dining room. Choruses of thank yous sounded throughout the room. On the way to the dining room, Damian made his way to Danny so they could hold hands on the way to lunch. Lunch was fun. It was a simple salad of berries, quinoa, and arugula with the vinaigrette along with some cucumber sandwiches. Dick had to drive back to Bloodhaven after lunch. Sam arrived just as Dick was leaving. Sam immediately went to interrogate Bruce and Tim, similarly to how Jazz had interrogated Bruce and Dick when they'd first arrived. Damian led him away, although based on the glances from the others, it was not subtle at all. They all probably suspected they were sneaking off to make out, which Danny was looking forward to. And that was part 13, chapter 7 of Press Hard to Subscribe, a DPXDC podfic written by die_Collagen6083 and read by Summer Audio. Editing Summer here. I hope you guys like my new profile pic. I drew it myself. It was really fun. That's one of my OCs that I've had for like years. Hope you guys like it. I really don't know what to put as the profile pic, so if you guys have suggestions, also if you guys have any podfic suggestions, I'm down to take them because I only have like 1 or 2 fics lined up after these two, so, and I really need to get more. But anyways, I'm out. Have fun with the rest of the outro. By the way, so sorry for all of my stutters. I have such a hard time reading sometimes. Like, I'm like 98% sure I'm dyslexic, but am I gonna get that tested? No, not anytime soon. I'm just gonna roll with the punches, baby. Currently an hour after, like, I just finished recording and I'm about to start editing now, like, after I record this, and it has been an hour. It has taken an hour, and I've recorded the first part of this, like, 8 times throughout the whole of this month and last month. That just goes to show how much I tried and failed at keeping up the schedule last month. Jesus, that month was a doozy. But luckily, I'm doing good now. I'm pretty sure I'm not anemic anymore. But yeah, life has been fun, and this fic was amazing. In the next chapter, we get to have the interview, or in the next part, I guess. Same chapter, next part. We get to have the interview. Woo! That's gonna be really fun. I really liked the interview scene. I think it went very smoothly. Like the writing and everything. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Now it's time for editing, which is probably gonna take another, like, half hour to an hour, and all the while I'm gonna be putting breaks in between and watching YouTube for, like, 8 hours. And waiting for my friend to get here. She should be here in, like, an hour, because I'm pretty sure that's when my family's coming home. So, and then I'm gonna dye my hair again, because I just absolutely love to just write. I might dye it, like, tomorrow, just to give my hair a bit of a pause after the bleaching, because it is crispy. But yeah, that's I'm pretty sure that's everything. So we're gonna this is the end. As always, go give kudos to the author. They did amazing at this, and multiple other fics that I've read. I have read quite a few from this author, and all of them are absolutely amazing. And yeah, make sure to get sleep too. I've been trying to fix my sleep schedule. It has been partially successful. But anyways, I hope you all enjoy and have a wonderful day. Bye!